7:14 p.m., St. Petersburg, Russia. A black woman knelt on a Mafia boss's marble floor. Blood ran down her chin. She caught it with a paper towel tucked under in her apron so it wouldn't stain the stone. Her other hand scrubbed a wine spill. That wasn't hers. Devin Mosley, 28, 14 months in this house. She'd spoken to the firstest man who owned it exactly 47 times. Short sentences. "Good morning, sir." "Yes, sir. The dry cleaning is on your door." He never asked her name back. Never asked if she'd eaten. Never stayed in the same room long enough for the air to warm between them. So when his voice came from the kitchen archway, low, careful, saying her name like he'd been practicing it alone, her whole body locked. She didn't look up. She pressed the paper towel harder against her stomach. Blood soaked through. It spread in a slow circle on the white cloth. Nikolai Volkov stood in the archway, dark suit, no tie, his briefcase still in his left hand. He was supposed to be in Moscow until 9. He wasn't supposed to see this. His briefcase hit the floor, not dropped, sat down, but fast. Faster than a man like him moves. Then he did something his driver of 11 years had never seen, something his lawyer would not have believed, something that in the world Nikolai moved through simply did not happen. He knelt down. His left knee hit the marble. A small, hard sound. His suit pants pressed flat against the cold stone. He was close enough that Devin could smell his cologne. Cedar, something, clean, and see the thread count on his shirt cuff. Devin's shoulders pulled up. Her breath stopped. Not surprise, something older. The phrase of a woman who learned years ago that a man moving toward her fast means pain is coming. Her promise, fingers tightened on the rag, her jaw clenched. She held still the way a rabbit holds still in headlights. Nikolai didn't speak. His eyes moved across her face, the split lower lip, the swelling under her left eye she'd tried to hide by turning her head. A bruise, starting to purple along her jaw. He lifted his right hand, slow fingers open. He moved it the way you'd reach toward a stray dog that might bolt. His thumb and forefinger came to rest under her chin. He turned her face toward the light. One muscle in his jaw tightened, then another. His nostrils flared once. His hand dropped from her chin. He stood, walked to the presence, floor-to-ceiling window. St. Petersburg spread out below. Vasilyevsky Island, towers, the gray curve of the Neva River, headlights crawling along Nevsky Prospect. He pulled out his phone. One number. No scrolling. The call lasted 4 seconds. American Trent Carver, Novaya Zemlya. Bring him to me. 9 words. He hung up, set the phone on the counter the way a mechanic sets down a wrench. Job started. Then he unclasped his watch. A Patek Philippe silver face. He folded it into his left palm and placed it on the counter with a soft click. His driver, 11 years on the job, once told a new hire, "When the watch comes off, stop talking. Just move." The watch came off before anything else, before the first aid kit, before he crouched back down, before any of it. 2 blocks away, at the Novaya Zemlya, a man named Trent Carver had just ordered room service, club sandwich, beer. He ate half, drank all of it, fell asleep with the TV on. RT. He had no idea what was already moving toward him. But before I show you what those 9 words did and what happened to Trent Carver in the next 12 hours, you need to see what happened 6 hours before the blood, before the marble, before any of it. Because this didn't start at 7:14 p.m. It started at a bus stop 2 blocks from this house, 4 p.m., 3 hours earlier. Devin sat at the plies staff table behind Nikolai's pantry. A bowl of leftover rice warmed in the microwave. Her phone screen said $43.18. Her sister Kesha needed $312 by Friday. Tuition. The gap between $43 and $312 might as well have been the ocean she'd already crossed to get here. She typed the message, deleted it, typed it again, deleted it again. The microwave beeped. She ate standing up. one eye on the clock. Nikolai would be home in 2 hours. The house had to be silent by then. Not a rule anyone said out loud. A rule she'd learned by watching. 14 months of tracking which floorboards creaked, which cabinets closed too loud, which hallways to avoid at which hours. 47 sentences. That's all he'd said to her, in 14 months. She'd counted, not on purpose at first, but by month 3, when she realized this man moved through his own home like smoke in a suit. Counting was how she made sense of the quiet. "Good morning, sir," she'd say when he came. "Down for coffee?" He'd nod. Sometimes good morning back. Sometimes nothing. But here's what she didn't know. On the mornings when she said "Good morning, sir," Nikolai would walk upstairs, sit on the edge of his bed, stay there for 20 minutes, not checking his phone, not moving, just sitting like her voice had pressed something in his chest that needed time to go quiet. 47 sentences. He counted too. By 6:47 p.m., everything changed. Devon left through the staff entrance on the side street, 2 blocks to the bus stop on Moskovsky Prospect. Same walk every Tuesday and Thursday. Toothpaste, phone credit, the cheap ramen from the corner store she ate on nights. The leftover rice was gone. The bus stop was empty. The air bit her cheeks. Her breath made small clouds. Then she smelled Bleu de Chanel, the same bottle she'd bought him 2 Christmases ago, in Atlanta. The smell hit her stomach before she turned around. "Hey, Dev." Every muscle in her body pulled tight. Every joint locked, not from the cold. Trent Carver, 31, 6'1", brown hair, clean jaw. The kind of face that made waitresses smile and neighbors say hello. Gym bag on his shoulder, hands in his pockets. Looked like a tourist who'd taken a wrong turn. He wasn't a tourist. He'd flown 12 hours to stand on this sidewalk. And the easy, bored calm on his face, that practiced relaxation, the almost smile was the most dangerous thing about him. "How'd you find me?" Her voice came out flat, thin. "Your sister's Instagram. She posted your flight info when you left. Aeroflot Pulkovo worked backward from there." He said it like it was nothing. Like tracking someone across the planet was something you did on a lunch break. "Trent, you need to leave. I flew here because I love you. You flew here because I left." Same thing. He didn't hit her. At the bus stop. Not right away. First, he took her things. He did it the way he always did. Slow, quiet, dressed up as concern. "Let me hold your bag. You're shaking." She wasn't shaking from the cold, but she handed it over. She'd handed it over 100 times before. The part of her brain that knew better had gone quiet years ago. Beaten quiet by the part that knew what happened when she said no. He opened her bag, took her wallet, took her keys. The staff key to Nikolai's house, the key to her small room, took her blue transit card. He put all 3 in his jacket pocket, zipped it shut. "Got us a room at the Novaya Zemlya. Nice place. We can talk. I'm not going to a hotel with you, Dev." His voice dropped half a step. The smile stayed. The eyes didn't. "Don't do this. Here." She knew that voice. She knew the distance between that voice and what came after it. About 4 seconds. She stepped back. He grabbed her arm. Not hard. Enough to leave a mark that showed. He knew the math on bruises. Which ones people could see. Which ones hid under sleeves. How much force a face could take versus a forearm. He'd done this math before, many times. "Tomorrow," he said, "I'll come back. You'll be calmer." Then his open hand hit the side of her face. Her teeth caught the inside of her lip. The skin split from the inside out. She didn't scream, didn't call for help. She pressed the back of her hand to her mouth, tasted iron, stood completely still on a sidewalk in a country where she knew 11 Russian words and nobody's phone number. Trent stepped back, straightened his jacket, looked left, then right down the street, checking for witnesses the way someone checks for traffic. "Tomorrow," he said again. He walked away, his footsteps mixed with the Moskovsky Prospect traffic. Gone. Devon stood, at the bus stop for 3 minutes. Blood gathered in the corner of her mouth. She swallowed it. No wallet, no transit card, no keys. She walked 2 blocks back to Nikolai's house. Punched the garden code on the side gate. 0815. Let herself in, through the kitchen door that didn't lock right. The one she'd meant to tell the Graydons' house manager about for 6 months, but never did. She'd never been more grateful for a broken lock. She grabbed a paper towel, pressed it to her lip, saw the Prost wine spill from that morning, grabbed the cleaning rag, got on her knees, started scrubbing. Because that's what Devin Mosley knew. Clean other people's messes while bleeding from your own. She tucked the paper towel under her apron. Blood on marble was not allowed. His marble in a house she lived in, but didn't belong to. Worked in but couldn't claim. Slept in but would never call home. Then Nikolai came home early and said her name. He saw the rag in her right hand, the angle of her head tilted left, hiding the swollen side, the paper towel under the apron, and the thin red line running from the fabric to the fabric, white stone. He stood still. 4 seconds. His right hand made a fist, opened, made a fist again. Then the watch came off. Then the call. Then the 9 words. Now, let me show you what 9 words can do. 9:15 p.m. Novaya Zemlya lobby. 2 men, in dark coats, came through the front entrance. They didn't stop at the desk, didn't check in, walked straight to the elevator like they owned the building. Between them, half a step behind Trent. His hair was flat on one side from the pillow. His eyes red, his shirt untucked. He looked like a man pulled out of sleep by a knock that didn't wait for an answer. The bellhop by the luggage cart saw them first. He set down the suitcase he was holding, stepped back. A couple, near the restaurant, turned their heads. The woman held a fork halfway to her mouth. It stayed there. The front desk clerk did something very specific. She looked at her screen. Not at Trent, not at the men, at her screen. She clicked, her mouse twice on nothing, and kept her eyes down. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The lobby went still. Not fear exactly. Something closer to knowing. Everyone in that lobby, the staff, the guests, the security guard by the glass doors, understood something about the 2 men in dark coats. Trent did not. "I'm American," he said. Loud. Too loud for the quiet room. "This is Russia. You can't. Just somebody call the police." The man in front didn't turn. The man behind didn't answer. The elevator doors opened. Trent was walked inside. The doors closed. The lobby breathed again. The bellhop picked up the suitcase. The couple turned back to each other. The clerk kept clicking. The security guard found something interesting on the ceiling. 12 people in that lobby. Not one reached for a phone. Now fast. 9:15 p.m. Trent's hotel room packed for him. 1 bag, clothes stuffed in, no folding. Passport placed on top like a period at the end of a sentence. 11 p.m. Every bank account Trent Carver owned flagged. His Russian travel card froze first. Then his American checking at Wells Fargo. Then a savings account with $2,300 at a credit union in Decatur, Georgia, opened under his middle name. The one he thought nobody knew about. 2 a.m. A lifetime immigration ban filed with the Russian Ministry of Justice. Not a warning. Not a hold. A ban permanent. His passport number entered into a system that doesn't forget and doesn't forgive. 6 a.m. Middle seat, one-way flight to Atlanta. Somebody else packed his bag. Somebody else bought his ticket. Nobody asked what he wanted. In the back of the SUV that took him to Pulkovo Airport. Trent had looked out the window at the St. Petersburg skyline, whispered, "She's mine. I love her." He said it like he believed it, and that was the problem. Brent really truly believed that what he felt was love. That flying 12 hours to track down a woman who changed her number and moved to another continent, That was love. That taking her wallet and her keys, love. That hitting her at a bus stop, a mistake love makes sometimes. He couldn't tell the difference between love and a leash. 9 a.m. Atlanta time. Trent's mother's doorbell rang in Decatur, Georgia. A process server in a blue polo shirt, manila envelope. Inside a restraining order filed by a Georgia attorney named Brenda Coates from a firm in Buckhead. Trent's name, home address, phone, email, vehicle, workplace. Every detail listed with a care that said someone had been watching long before the phone call. The retainer was paid by H1 Consulting, Pte. Limited, registered in Singapore. No directors, no website, no number. 500 feet, that was the line. He couldn't call her, couldn't email, couldn't message, through a third party, couldn't enter the country she lived in, which was already handled. One phone call from a kitchen in St. Petersburg, 4 time zones, 2 legal systems, 1 ocean. By breakfast, Trent Carver's life wasn't interrupted. It was taken apart, and there was no one to call about putting it back together. Snap back to the kitchen. 7:30 p.m. Devon was still on her knees, not because she couldn't stand, because nobody had told her she could. 14 months had taught her the rules. Stay small, stay quiet, stay clean. That was the deal. That was the job. Nikolai set the first aid kit on the floor. Opened it. Gauze, antiseptic, butterfly bandages. He didn't hand them to her. He crouched down and held up the antiseptic, his eyebrows lifted, asking. She nodded. He dabbed gauze against her lip. She winced. He pulled back, waited, pressed again. Lighter. Who touched you? He said 3 words. Quiet. Devon looked at the floor. I fell. She lied the way she always lied. Fast, smooth, loaded, and ready. Devon Mosley had been lying about bruises since she was 22. First in Memphis, then in Atlanta, now in St. Petersburg. Different kitchens. Same sentence. I fell. Nikolai didn't push. He pressed a butterfly bandage across the split in her lip and stood. But his hand stayed at his sides too long. His fingers curled once, opened, and Devon caught it. Just half a second, something moving behind his face. Not anger. Something older than anger. Something that had its own history. You can stand up, he said. She looked at him. You can stand up, Devon. She stood. Her knees ached. She'd been on that floor for 40 minutes. She pressed both palms, flat on the counter, and felt the cold marble through her skin. Nikolai heard both things when she said, I fell. The lie and the reason for the lie. Reason was worse because the reason was him. 14 months of silence. 14 months of nods and closed doors, and 47 sentences that added up to a man too scared of his own feelings to say. Are you okay? When she came in with tired eyes too, controlled to ask. Did you eat? When the staff fridge was empty. She didn't trust him because he'd never given her a reason to. And then she said something that changed the room. Give me my passport back now. Nikolai looked at her. Not at the bruise. At her, at the steel behind the split lip. Your passport is in the top drawer of the entry table. Take it. You're telling me where it is? I asked. You to give it to me. He walked to the entry hall, opened the drawer, came back, held out a navy blue American passport. She took it, checked the photo page, closed it, put it in the pocket of her apron, right next to the bloody paper towel. 3:12 a.m. Same kitchen. The house was so quiet Devon could hear the brand refrigerator hum. She could hear blood moving in her own ears. The antiseptic stung every time she breathed through her mouth. Nikolai's driver appeared in the doorway. Tall black turtleneck, hands behind his back. He looked at Devon, then at Nikolai, then at Devon again. He waited. Devon stared at him. Her eyes moved to the hallway behind him, the one she'd walked 1,000 times. Past the Security panel she'd never been taught to use. Past the intercom she'd been told was for the house manager only. This house had layers of safety she'd never been given. Not because she didn't deserve them, because nobody offered. The safest place she'd had in months was inside this house the whole time. But she didn't. She was allowed to use it. And the man who could have told her didn't, because he was afraid of what telling her would mean. Morning came. 7:30 a.m., gold light through the kitchen window. The same window Nikolai had stood at when he made the call. The light was warm and soft and completely wrong for what was as about to happen. Nikolai was cooking. No jacket, sleeves rolled up, eggs and rice. The eggs popped and hissed. The rice cooker clicked. He slid a plate across the counter to Devon. She didn't eat. She sat on the same stool from 3 a.m. and waited. You don't cook breakfast for the maid unless something has changed. Nikolai turned off the stove, pressed his hands flat on the marble, across from her, eyes on the countertop, not her face. I knew something was wrong, he said. Devon didn't move. 3 weeks ago. You came in through the side entrance. Your sleeve was pulled down over your wrist. You don't wear long sleeves in the kitchen, I noticed, and you didn't say anything. No. Why? His knuckles went white on the marble. Because I was afraid that if I asked what happened, I would have to do something about it. And if I did something, you would know what I am. And if you knew what I am, you would leave. I'm sorry. It took blood on the floor for me to stop being a coward. He straightened. You are not my staff anymore. Devon looked at him. Then what am I? You are someone I owe the truth. He walked to the hallway. Came back, holding a framed photograph. Set it on the counter between them. A woman, late 30s, dark skin, high cheekbones, full mouth. She wore a green silk wrap and gold earrings, and she was laughing at something outside the frame. The kind of laugh that made you want to know what was funny. My mother, Nikolai said. Dona Ibalogun, from Ibadan, Nigeria. She married my father in 1983. She died in this house when I was 11. Devon looked at the photograph. The cheekbones, the jaw, the way his eyes sat deeper than most Russian men's. She'd noticed it before. Small things, passing things, filed away without meaning. You let me work here for 14 months, Devon said, slowly, and never told me you were this. Her voice tightened. Do you know what? It's like being black here. Invisible until someone wants something from you. Nikolai didn't flinch. He took it. The driver in the doorway lowered his gaze. He took one step back from the threshold. Small step, but Devon saw it. The man, who stood in doorways and waited for orders, had just moved to make space. Not for Nikolai, for her. Nikolai walked to the hallway, put his hand on his bedroom door. The largest room. Ensuite. View of the river. Take this room, he said. I'll sleep in the study. Devon shook her head. I'll sleep in my room. He looked at her. My room, she said again. The one I chose. The one I keep clean. I'm not moving into your bedroom because you feel guilty. She said it clear, steady, like drawing a line in the marble with her fingernail. Nikolai nodded. Walked to the study, closed the door, left a medical kit on the counter. Gauze, fresh bandages. No note, just supplies. Devon sat in her room that night, 8 by 10 feet. Single bed, a window looking out at a garden wall. She held her passport in both hands and she breathed. For the first time in 14 months, the breathing felt like enough. Now, tell me in the comments what Nikolai did. Too far, or should it have happened sooner? If someone took your keys, your money, your ability to move in a country where you know nobody, would you call this revenge, or would you call it protection that showed up late? 3 months passed. Then 6 small things changed first. Nikolai offered his driver for errands. She said yes on the third offer, not the first. He moved her passport to the top. drawer of her bedside table. Not the entry table, her table. She checked it every morning. Not because she didn't trust him, because checking was the promise she'd made to herself. He spoke more, not a lot, but full sentences. Now, he asked if she'd eaten, told her when he'd be home late, said goodnight, instead of just closing his door. The house warmed slowly, 1 degree at a time. But Devon wasn't stupid. She heard things. One Tuesday night, 8 months in, she walked past Nikolai's study. The door was open 2 inches. Voices, his, and 2 others, fast Russian. She caught words she'd picked up, container, customs, and one she knew well, Novaya Zemlya. She didn't understand the full conversation, but she understood the shape of it, the way you understand a fire by the heat on in your face before you see the flame. 2 nights later, Nikolai came home, set his briefcase down, loosened his tie, poured a glass of water. "I need the truth," Devon said. "All of it." He drank the water, set the glass down. "If I tell you, you might leave. If you don't tell me, I will leave." He pulled out the stool, across from her, sat. His hands rested on the counter. No watch. He'd stopped, wearing it in the house months ago. "Logistics," he said. "That's the clean name. 6 words." He let them sit. "What's the real name?" "There isn't one. There are ships and containers and routes that don't show up on any schedule. There are men who move things and people across borders. I run the system. I've run it since my father died. Drugs? No. Weapons? Goods? Some legal, some not. All profitable." Devon looked at the counter. The same marble. She had scrubbed her own blood off 10 months ago. She looked at the man across from her. The man who'd knelt on this floor, who'd erased another man from a country with 9 words, who kept his dead mother's picture in a drawer because looking at it cost too much. "Okay," she said. His eyebrows moved, just barely. "Okay, but here's what happens now." She stood, pulled a piece of paper from the notepad on the place shelf, took a pen from the drawer. She wrote. He watched. 1. Passport stays with me always. 2. Separate bank account. My name only. 3. My own phone, plan, my own contract. 4. Legal help with my visa, real lawyer, my choice. 5. If I want to leave at any time, there is a clear way out. No calls, no men, in coats. I walk out the front door and that's it. She slid the paper across, the marble. Nikolai read each line. His eyes moved slow. He reached the 5th line and stayed. Then he adjusted his cuffs. Left, then right. A small, exact motion, the kind his men had seen 1,000 times in boardrooms and back offices and rooms without names. "Agreed," he said. "No bargaining, no pushback. No, let's talk about this." "Agreed." Devon sat back down, folded the paper once, put it in her pocket. Same pocket that had held her passport. Same pocket that had held a bloody paper towel 10 months before. A paper towel. A passport. A list of terms. 3 objects in the same pocket across 10 months. That was the distance she'd traveled. Trent tried one more time from Atlanta, an email to a Russian address he'd found somewhere. A burner phone number texted through a friend of Devon's old roommate. Every message died. Blocked, deleted, sent to nowhere. He went to the Russian embassy in Atlanta, walked in, with his passport and his best shirt, asked about travel options. The woman, behind the glass, typed his name, looked at her screen, typed it again. "I'm sorry, sir. Your travel clearance has been flagged. I can't process this. Request. Flagged by who?" She looked at him the way the front desk clerk at the Princess Novaya Zemlya had looked at her screen that night. "I'm not able to give you that information." Trent left the embassy, drove to his mother's house in Decatur, sat in the driveway for 20 minutes with the engine running, and his hands on the Donza the Roman wheel. He turned off the car, Went inside, never tried again. The engine ticked. As it cooled, the streetlights came on. A neighbor's sprinkler started up. Click, click, hiss, click, click, hiss, like the world had already moved on and was watering its lawn. 1 year, 12 full months from the night on the marble. Sunday morning, Devon stood in the doorway of Nikolai's bedroom, not because he invited her, not because someone told her to, because she chose to. The bed was made, curtains open, Street Petersburg stretched below, gray and silver in morning, rain, the Neva River, a dull ribbon. She walked in, sat on the edge of the bed, felt the mattress give. She thought about the woman who'd knelt on the kitchen floor a year ago. $43 blood under an apron. 11 Russian words. 0 people to call. That woman wouldn't know the one sitting on this bed. Nikolai found her, there 20 minutes later, stopped in the doorway, opened his mouth, closed it. She looked at him. I'm not going back to my room. He nodded. Didn't smile, but something behind his eyes shifted like a window cracking open in a sealed room, and air coming in for the first time. 6 months later. Same kitchen, same window, same morning light. Devon was making coffee, 2 cups, 1 black, 1 with milk, the way they'd done it every morning for 6 months. The machine hissed. Steam rose. She turned around. Nikolai was on his knee. Same marble, same spot. 18 months ago, his knee hit this floor to press a bandage to her lip. Now his hand held a ring, small gold, 2 bands twisted together, 1 smooth, 1 carved in a pattern she'd seen before. Yoruba. Not work. The same pattern on his mother's, and earrings in the photograph. His hand was steady almost. If you weren't looking, you'd miss it. But she was looking, and she saw the tremble in his ring finger, just once before he stilled it. Devon. Yes. He blinked. I didn't finish. You don't need to. She crouched down, knees on the same marble, face to face, eye to eye. 2 people on a floor where blood had been, where silence had lived, where a paper towel under an apron had once been the saddest thing in a house full of sad things. She took his hand, took the ring, put it on herself. Then she looked at him hard, clear the way she looked at everything now, and said, but no more. Silence. Not ever. His jaw was tight. His eyes were wet. And if you think a man who moves ships across oceans and erases people from countries with 9 words doesn't cry, 1 tear fell. Just 1. He didn't wipe it away. The coffee machine beeped. Neither of them moved. That night, Devon placed her photograph on his bedside table right next to his mother's. Same size frame, same warm lamp. Nikolai looked at both for a long time. His mother on the left, Devon on the Devon trees, right. His hand moved toward his mother's frame, hovered, fingers half open, not quite touching the glass. He stayed like that until the light outside went dark. Devon's hand found his shoulder. He didn't move. She didn't move. The house was quiet, but this quiet was built, not left over, chosen, not endured. This quiet had 2 coffee cups and a plant on the windowsill, and a list of terms folded in, a drawer and a ring with Yoruba knot work on the hand of a woman who once bled into her own apron to save a floor she thought would never be hers. The refrigerator hummed. The city pulsed below. Somewhere in Decatur, Georgia, a man sat in a house he couldn't leave with a passport that couldn't take him anywhere. And in Vasilyevsky Island Street, Petersburg, on the 43rd floor, 2 people knelt on a marble floor that remembered everything and chose to.